So it does the job. It's free with Ubuntu. Okay. So we'll look into history, like how the market has evolved. Okay. So if you look at my screen, like you can see the screen, right? Uh,
Right, I can see it right
in
here.
1995, you will see, if you see the screen, this was the scenario. Okay. We had like think and client server apps. Okay. And the apps were used to work on well-defined OS, middleware, and runtime. Basically, whatever your application you are designing, it was used to work on particular hardware or operating system, or basically like example for, let's say, Cisco switches. Okay, how they work. So they have their own applications running on top of it. They have their own OS modified up, and they have their own hardware. They are very tightly coupled. Okay, so even if you see on left hand side, there are monolithic physical infrastructures. So you develop your applications. Okay, use your own predefined OS or something. Okay, and then it will run on well-defined infrastructures. It was the scenario in 1995, or till, you can say that till that time. So have you seen this kind of scenario in your career?
Yeah. You're talking about regular structure. It's nothing different, right?
Yeah, so you might have seen that, like basically work. I seen your profile, like you worked on routers and switches and on configurations and all stuff, right? So
Right.
most of the applications, they are mostly tied with some operating systems. Okay, so especially if you say the era when proprietary stuff was used highly, so everything was tied up. They made up changes in their OS to optimize their application. So they made change in the operating system, so it works very well for them. Okay,
Okay.
so that's fine. But in 2015, or now we are in 16, what happened? There's thin app on the mobile or tablet. Okay, it
Okay.
assembled by developers using best available services. It mean, okay, I will use the API given by somebody else. I will not develop each and everything. Okay, let's say I want to use storage or something, I will use some API. I want to use, let's say, geographical location services, I will use the REST API. So my things are now not very tightly coupled with each and all, like it's not that like I have to develop each and everything on my own. What I will try to develop a solution or something where I will use API given by others people. Okay, and
Okay.
once you make this kind of software, you want this software to run on any given physical infrastructure. Maybe it's
Yeah.
public, private. So this is the scenario, this is the where the industry is moving. Does it make sense for you?
Yeah, yeah, I got it. It's an API developed by, we're reusing the API. That's all.
Right. So
Right.
I'm, let's say, company who's designed the app. I'm not worried about OS. I will use the API given by somebody. I will not try to optimize OS. I want my R&D work or my work to be very limited. Okay.
Okay.
I want to be focused. And what other advantage gives, you are not trying to build up proprietary software anymore. Okay, because you are using,
Uh-huh.
most of the APIs are open source.
Right.
Okay, so this is how the market has evolved. Okay, now think over, this is the next slide. Okay, so you have, let's say, static website. Okay, and you have for that user databases and analytic databases or API endpoint, you develop something. So basically you develop a software which is made of many things. Okay, and what you will do, you have lot of hardware. You want to run this software on development VMs, on public cloud or QA server or data center, production server or disaster. So there are different kind of infrastructure there you want your applications to run, right?
Right.
So this is something you're looking, and to achieve this, what we have done, we maintain some kind of set matrix. If you go something back in your, like in career or something, you might have seen we used to maintain a matrix saying that, hey, my application or this, I done the testing, on this particular version of Windows. Let's say Windows 2008, I don't know 2007, but I have not tested on this particular application on Windows, let's say 2000, on Windows XP. So I will maintain a matrix. Okay, this is my software. Okay, static website. Let's say this is my static website. Okay, this work fine on development VM. Okay, have you tested on Kyocera? I will tick it. Oh, I have not tested my this particular site on single production server. So I'm not sure. So I will mark a crosshair and I will notify my customer. Hey, I not tested my website on this one. Okay, so I'm not sure it will work or not work. So another analogy of what I will give you. Let's say you develop some software and you want to test it out. So you test on, let's say, Ubuntu version 12.04. Oh, okay. You tested on CentOS 7, but you have not tested that software on Fedora. Okay. So you will tell your customer in the release document, I have tested this software on this particular platform. Okay, and I guarantee that it will work fine. I'm not sure about the rest of other things, right? This is what we used to do, right?
Yes, like just a browser compatibility. That way you are talking about OS compatibility. Yeah.
Yeah. So where the software is compatible. Okay. So have you seen this kind of scenario, like when in your career you done this kind of work?
Yes. Yes.
Can you give me some insight, like what kind of scenario you faced and how you solved it?
Not exactly this way, like, but let me explain you. If there is Solaris server
Mm-hmm.
and Solaris based JDKs, get JDK Solaris based JDK is there, so application got compared with Solaris JDK, right? Solaris dependent JDK, OS dependent. That will work with this, and if it try to run work on Linux, it gives the trouble. Same thing like for browser side, Mozilla, Firefox, and it has to test it in all IE and everything, and it has to support IE7, IE8, similar to that. And same thing, right? Red Hat Linux based application for WebLogic and all. WebLogic related binaries, right? JDK binaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
That work only on a OS base, right?
Right.
WebLogic have the binaries for Linux and Solaris and Windows. So when you talk about application server, that is the problem with respect to the app server. But when we go to this thing, right, application wise also, there are like monitoring tools and everything that doesn't work with all of them because the commands are different. But if you talk about application, then there is a problem with the JDK and other stuff comes. But again, that's why, like, non-prod and production should be exactly the copy or replica of each other. So that way it works.
Okay, fine. So example for like in this, I will take it up back last slide we seen. So we are using Python 2.7 APIs, right? So we are saying
Right.
in background worker has to be Python 3.0. So we will recommend the customer, let's say, hey, you use this particular Python version, okay? We will tell the
Okay.
customer, right? So either we use that if we go back the era in 1995, we gave everything, like our OS was ours, okay? So we know what kind of an environment our software will run, okay? Now, seeing this scenario, I will take you to some another analogy, okay? Which will help us to understand, and that's the most beautiful thing about the technology. Give me a moment, please.
Okay.
The beauty about the technology is that the innovation happen most of the times the thing we see in our day-to-day life, right? And so the analogy and the names we get, usually, like if you see the name container, I will try to explain the how the container word is given to this particular technology. So this is cargo transport system in pre 1960s, okay? So let's say I want to transport grain, okay? So from one place, let's say from Atlanta to let's say in Georgia, and we want to send this particular grain to San Francisco, okay? Or in, let's say, in India, from Delhi to Bombay. So how
Right.
this particular grain will go to? It can use different mechanisms. It can go by train. We can use truck. We can use on some other mechanism. It might be using shape. It might be using crane. There are different channels are there. Are the channels are in our control?
No.
Okay, and usually one vendor will not be involved. Usually there are two three vendors will be involved, right?
Yeah. Right.
So anything like I want to send car from one place to another, the same thing will happen. It might get damaged because
Yeah. You're not guaranteed.
yeah, you are not guaranteed, right? You got it. So how I can make sure that if I send green or car or anything, it should reach into the same state where when I send it, like it should be the same as it is. Nothing should happen. So what I can I do? Okay, the cargo transport industry, what they did, they developed the containers. Okay,
Right.
so they what they say, whatever thing you want to send, you want to transport, put this thing in the container. Okay,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
and if you take this container through any of these mechanisms or through any transport mechanism, your goods will be reach in the same stage. Okay,
Right.
so but what I will do in the container, so whatever conditions needed, let's say you're sending a grain and that need a predefined temperature. Okay, so you have object and the environment. Basically I would use the word environment. Okay, to
Right.
protect that good has to be created inside this container only.
Okay.
So you if you give that environment and use any of the transport mechanism, it will not spoiled or it will be reach in the same state. Do you agree or not?
Yeah. Yeah. It is. There is a high possibility. Yeah.
High possibility, right? So let's say if you are sending car, what we will create environment, like we'll put some padding inside the container so it reaches us.
Yeah. That is more guarantee that it will reach in one piece.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So we given the environment what is needed and put in the container. Nobody will open the container. Okay, and
Yeah.
anybody who can take the container, it will go right from one place to one place.
Right.
And
Right.
that's the reason if you see on the road, most of the time goods are transported using the containers.
Okay. I got it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
now, so why people thought why not apply this analogy into the softwares? Okay,
Right.
so they applied this analogy in the software as well.
Yes. Hey, Anil, just 1 minute, okay?
Sure,
Just
sure.
1 minute. Don't mind.
So any doubts so far? Any question you have?
No, it's clear.
Okay, fine. So we use the same analogy into the software now. So let's say you're
Okay.
designing application which are there, let's say for let's say you designing application is let's say the one of the application is static website. Okay, whatever need, okay, to run your static website, put that inside the container. Okay,
Yeah.
to run a website, what we need? We need a Apache web server. We need some of the configuration about the server, and to run that website, we need some library. To any applications need libraries to run, right? So it might be using some GCC library or some other. Put everything, whatever the environments is needed by website to run, put that inside the container, and send this container on any of the hardware, maybe developed VM, QS server, customer data, or public cloud, production cluster, it will work.
Right.
So basically, Docker or container is an engine that enable any payload to be encapsulated as a lightweight, portable, and self-sufficient container. It means whatever you need to run your application, the environment give inside the container and send. So once you use that container to send to ship your applications, you that application can run on Ubuntu 12.04, 14.04, CentOS 7, Fedora. You no need to worry about the testing part now. Okay,
Wow. Okay. Nice. Okay.
so that's the reason.
So
Yeah, go ahead, please.
here is the way, like you're trying to say, whenever the application or any, if the client is pinging to the browser of the, say suppose the client send the request to the browser through the browser, then it goes to the application server, okay? But instead of application server, it goes to the container. Inside, everything is managed. So container and application server in between, they have the communication. Only whatever the modification you have to do is directly on the container. Container will be get adjusted accordingly, right? That's what you're talking about.
Can you repeat again? Sorry, I just missed.
Okay. See, this is like instead of changing the application side, you are changing the container.
Mm-hmm.
So container will take care of everything. That's what you are saying, right?
Yeah, but you're giving me some examples. So I was just want to go through that one.
Okay. Let me give an example. Browsers, through browser, the client send the request, right?
Mm-hmm.
The request goes to directly and it hits to the application server, right?
Mm-hmm.
Means it will go to the load balancer, and load balancer will decide which is the optimal path, and whichever the application server comes, it will send it to application server.
Mm-hmm.
If it is the application related, then it will go through application, or it's a web server. Then if it is a static page, it will go to the web server, something like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But now it will through the router itself, it will go to the container, and container inside take care of everything. That's what we are talking about, right?
Not exactly. What I'm trying to say, let's see your web server. Okay.
Okay.
That is running the website. Okay. So,
Okay.
so in basically in cloud when we say app, it's mean application. It's not Android app or iOS app. It's application. Okay.
Okay.
So whenever we use the word app, it mean application. Okay. So basically, you developed a web server, right? But
Mm-hmm.
you say my web server works on which platform?
Okay.
So you will say, hey, earlier we used to say my web server works on a CentOS 7. Okay. And let's say tomorrow CentOS 8 comes. Do you need to do a testing again?
Yeah, that's what normally we have to do according to migration projects. Yes.
Yeah, this migration is happening. And let's say your company make a decision. Let's say we want to run instead of CentOS Ubuntu, which is because that's free.
Yeah.
So what? Again, I need to do the testing because I am not sure that it will work or not. Will not work.
Right.
Why? Because why it will not work? Because the environment which needs to run your applications in terms of let's say web server, what it needs some configuration files, right?
Yes.
And apart from some libraries.
Yes.
So usually what happens when version changes, the library versions get changed. From let's say,
Right.
and because we are highly dependent on the libraries, so things will block.
Right.
So instead of that, I put this web server inside the container. Whatever the library it needs, I put that also inside the container.
Mm-hmm.
Any OS who can run a container, container is standard API, okay, or you can say standard service. Any operating system who can run a container as
Okay.
service, that will run my container, and ultimately it will run my application. There is no need to redo the testing part. Why? Because whatever the needed to run my web application is already inside the container.
Okay.
So So got it, or I can repeat it. I will not mind repeating.
No, just hold on a second. I think let me um, just. So you're saying the APIs, just like the Maven, right? Maven.
Pardon?
The Maven, the
Uh,
build tool.
Maven, I have bit idea, but I am not worked much in depth on that.
Yeah. So Maven or it have a particular format. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In the format, the coding will be done. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it will take care of the build process entirely because it's in that format. So
Mm-hmm.
predefined format is there.
Okay.
Is it that's something close to what you're talking about?
No.
You're just trying to get.
No, not closer. Just forget about each and everything which I told you. Okay. Think only.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So this is the way we teach basically. Even in the
Right.
midnight, if I wake up you, okay, you should be
Yeah.
able to answer any of the question. Okay, that's the ultimate goal of my or our, the training we do. Okay, nothing you need to
Okay.
remember. It's only about how you think. Okay, so we will not try to mug up anything. We will not try to remember anything. Okay, we
No,
will.
no, that's true. But there's nothing can help for markup. Okay, that is
Yeah,
the bottom line. It will not work.
yeah. So
But just can you one more time repeat it again? Because I'm trying to think, analyze. Okay.
yeah, I will repeat it.
As you were saying,
I,
yeah.
I will repeat it. I can repeat 5 times. That's not a problem. Okay, till the
Right.
time you don't understand, I will repeat it. Okay, let it.
Okay.
So, have you ever configured Apache web server?
Yes, I did.
Okay. On particular system, Apache web server is working, right?
Yes.
Can you copy the same file from one system to another system? Will it work?
For Apache, it depends again. Apache it's not Apache problem. It's a Unix or if you are saying Unix to Windows, then may not be work.
So let's say I will
But
give. Yeah. So I will try to make the simple problem. We have you use which operating system in Linux world?
right.
Which of the operating system you use? Ubuntu or CentOS or RHEL?
Yeah, CentOS, you know that, right? CentOS is a kind of new nowadays, right? It's a new one. I used operating system, Linux, Solaris, Linux 10, Solaris 10. Okay.
In Linux,
And
in Linux, which one you used?
I don't know, but I think like enterprise release version 7.2. I don't know, remember the version,
Okay.
but I use pretty. I
Okay.
can tell you right away.
So
I can find out and I can tell.
sure. So let assume this is Linux version 7. Okay.
Mhm.
You have another system with running with same version. The two physical system you have. Okay. Now on
Yeah.
system 1, you configured Apache web server.
Right.
If you take this file, same files to another system, will it will work
Yes.
or will not work?
Again, it's same thing, right? It may not be depend on if there is, the is it application binaries you want to execute or directly again you want to compile or what you are trying to do?
No, we will not compile. We will copy the files, all the files from this system to that file system.
Okay. Normally I see developers do the changes even though if there is a OS change.
No, there is
There are some dependencies are there, but I don't know what those are dependencies.
no.
Most of the times it's a Java related dependency.
Right. So let assume say we will compile. Let's say we will compile on this one and that one as well. But I don't want to compile because the same version running on the both the operating system. Okay.
Right.
I can copy the file. It should work. Okay. But nobody can guarantee.
Yeah, that is always, that's how the testing comes into the picture.
Okay.
No assurance.
But containers gives you that guarantee.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Why?
But, yeah,
Why?
I don't know why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because whatever configuration files or the binaries or library you need to run your Apache web server, they are already put inside the container.
Okay.
So let's say I'm using to run my container libc version 4. Okay, when
Yeah.
I take this container on another system or any system, it will use libc 4 only, because that libc 4 library inside the container only.
Oh, okay, okay.
So basically whatever it needs, it's already there inside the container. Operating system only need to start the container, and for that it already this API is there available. Anybody, any operating system can start the container. So
So you're saying that it can run on Windows as well as Unix without any problem?
yeah, it can run.
Oh, okay. That is a big change. Yes, I got it now.
Okay, so Docker has released some version of for Windows as well, but there's some problems or challenges are there. But what right now what Docker gives the guarantee, you take the container of any given Linux operating system, Linux based, like Linux and Unix based, it will work.
Mm-hmm.
No need to do any testing. Okay,
Okay. Within a Unix system, it take care of it, right? You're
it
saying?
take, yeah, it take care of it.
Okay, okay.
Even they release something
Perfect.
for Windows as well, but I not tested that one. But as we go in the classes, we will try that one as well. Okay, so they release
Okay.
for something for Windows as well. And but anyway, you might be knowing that Windows 10 is the last Windows.
I don't know that because, maybe they will bring out something OS, I don't know. But right now, I have never heard of it, but yeah, maybe it is true also.
Yeah. So what Microsoft had done, they are saying we will stopping further development on Windows operating system, and
Okay.
they have released their first Linux-based operating system.
Oh, okay. That is strange, okay.
Okay, and there Microsoft Azure Cloud that works on Linux. That is Linux based.
What was that? What was the last one you said?
In public cloud, we have AWS Cloud and Microsoft Azure Cloud.
Right, right. Azure Cloud. Yeah.
Yeah, Azure is works on Linux. It's not Windows based.
Oh, that's new and surprising thing. I was not aware. Okay.
Okay,
Good.
who want to keep data on Windows systems?
No one.
so so why they will develop cloud on Windows? So
I
this,
don't have any clue. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. If OS is stop developing, then what's the point of?
yeah.
Yeah.
So reason for that was like end user market is mostly taken now by Android and iOS. So
Okay.
the sale of your, because Windows are uh, never in picture in a server market, because that all was driven by Linux and Unix based systems, and their
Okay.
market was only end user market. But now nobody buys desktops, they buy either macOS books, or they buy phones, mobile phone, tablets. This is the future.
Oh, okay. I got
Okay,
it.
that's
Yeah.
statistically also, so it's not possible for them. And now you can use Microsoft features on or the cloud. Why you need to install Microsoft Office on your laptops and all. Okay.
Right, right. That doesn't make sense.
Right. So this is like one of the like reason that Docker is big hit in the market.
Okay, I
So,
got it. Yeah.
okay. So maybe now you can tell anyone, hey, I know what Docker is all about, right? And
Yeah, yeah. At least I can give idea what's going on here. Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah. So
So
another, yeah, let's Linux container app hyperwire. Okay. This when it comes to Linux-based operating system, right?
mhm.
So this Eclipse and everything will work accordingly. Eclipse GUI for development and everything. Is it there is any Eclipse is available for Linux also?
Eclipse is available for Linux.
Oh, is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can directly get it the Eclipse and you can keep on working. Okay, I got it. But Eclipse cannot work on Solaris, right? That I know.
I'm not sure about Solaris, but Eclipse runs on Linux.
Linux, huh? Okay,
Mm.
okay.
I
So
think.
it's OS 10 after. Okay, that's a good approach which Satya did, Satya Nadella.
Mm.
Okay, I got it.
So earlier, like
Yeah.
people what let's say you want to run Eclipse on your system, you will download it, you compile it, okay,
Right.
and again you are not
Right.
sure it will work or not work.
Right. 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 No,
So
it's it. Oh, yeah.
so better download Eclipse container
Right. Right.
and it will work.
Right. And oh, Eclipse container comes. Okay. That
Okay.
I don't know. Okay. So,
So
their terms container and Docker, they go close to close. Is it Docker means container or container means Docker? Is it what? How? What's the
uh,
difference?
the Docker is one specific version of container.
Okay, one specific version of container. Okay.
When we say Linux container, the name is LXC. Okay.
LXC.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, what they say, you can run multiple application inside a container. So
Okay.
you can run say a Apache web server, MySQL database inside a single application. Okay.
Okay.
But in Docker, you can run only one application. Docker doesn't.
Sorry, container in a Linux you can run multiple applications, but
So
in Docker only one application.
yeah,
Is it?
so Linux container is basically the container which allows to run more than one application. Okay,
Okay.
but if you what
Okay.
Linux container which allows to run only one application, that is called Docker.
Linux is allowing only to run Docker. That
No,
is
no,
only application you're
no, no,
saying.
no. I'm trying to say in Linux
Sorry, again.
yeah, I'm
Yes.
just repeating it. Linux container allows to run multiple applications. Okay,
Yes.
and the Docker allows to run you only one application.
Okay, I got it. They are parallel. Okay, I got
Okay,
it. Okay.
and most of the time when you go on the cloud, you want to run only one application.
Yes. Right.
So companies who do web hosting, they want to run the website only. Okay,
Yes.
that's the reason people say mostly Docker.
Okay.
They don't talk about the Linux container.
Right. Right. Right.
Okay, but the internal technology is Linux container.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so
Right.
I will
Right.
just will try to learn more and more in depth. Okay, this is just an introduction lecture. I'm just giving for demo only. Okay.
Yeah, but another thing is, if now when you say Windows 10 is the last, okay, then the next application they are developing using Azure, right? Azure is the mainly is coming as the cloud of Microsoft, right?
Yeah, this is a
Right.
Microsoft Cloud.
Yeah. So Azure-based application, they all use Windows as well and Linux as well, or how is that actually?
They are using.
So why I'm saying it's a big change for Microsoft itself, right? There are so many applications running with the .NET.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly there is a change from .NET to Azure. Right? So Azure is a different kind of development altogether from the .NET, or it's the same?
So what smart thing they have done? Okay, they changed .NET APIs such a way that they works on Linux.
Oh, okay. In the Azure they change it, not in the existing .NET.
Yeah, in the Azure cloud they written in .NET. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
it runs on Linux. They modify API
Okay.
calls and all. So
Right.
and again it's company, they might be not releasing for public and all. There's internal use, right? You cannot say.
Okay.
So
Okay, I got it. Yeah. So yeah, and how this is cool, but can you show the environment? How if I wanted to work in the labs, right?
mhm.
How you have the lab setup for this?
Okay, so lab setup, what we will do. So I will give you access to one of our cloud system. Okay,
Okay.
and you can try and do lot of things. But another thing we encourage to, you want to play around the Linux containers. Set up
Right.
Linux box on virtual box. We will help you into doing that as well. Okay, or if you have already,
Right.
and we will showcase how to use a container on your local system.
Okay.
Okay,
And how long the session will be there? Around 11:30 p.m. it will start, right? How long it is? 11:30 a.m. session.
so it's 1 hour only per day. We will take 1 hour. Yeah,
hard stop, right?
right. That's
And in the night session also there, right? 8 p.m. or something, right? You
yeah,
said
that's
8
true,
or
sir.
10 p.m.
So we are waiting because there are three, four candidates are basically asked for the classes. So we
All right.
just trying to figure out where we can fit each one's. Okay. So we're trying to
Yeah.
club all of you in one session, but it usually doesn't happen because one person is in Australia, one girl is coming from Australia, one person, two persons are from India. So I'm just trying to figure
All
out
right.
how four you all can fit in one sessions or if needed because we are just starting in for end customers. So it's fine, like we can run the show even there's one student is there. So we have to do it. Okay.
Okay.
So it
Yeah.
might be happening
All
that
right. So
I'm only taking classes for you only. That's fine with us. Okay.
okay. So tomorrow at what time? 5th, right? You said tomorrow there's a demo class again, right?
No, no,
Or
this is I'm conducting for you only because that might not fall in your time zone. So I thought I just give a overview how we teach, and
okay.
so the one of the people complain which I have seen like when they go for online training they are mainly slide shows. Okay, they don't they're
Right.
not very interactive, but we keep it very interactive, otherwise it become very boring actually even.
Right. Right. I agree. Is it something? Here is the thing. Like there is a. Are you the expert in Git also?
Yeah, we have even Git. Even I do Git part.
Okay. Let me share the session. Is it I can share the
I will
screen
make.
also with you or?
Yeah, I will do. I will allow you to do